Hello. It's very early in the morning on May 22nd. And I wanted to do a card pull I've been wanting to do one for a long time. And I've been continuing to record videos from the car and stuff, and they're just too jumbly and not really making sense and not really for the collective, but let's see what I can do here this morning. It's a pre-full moon energy reading. It's going to be 10 minutes long. Hope everybody's doing well. Personally, I slept well last night, but I also woke up like 4 different times. I've been going through such a deep bodily detoxing. I've got hives all over my arms, like raised patches, and I've been doing a lot of exfoliation. Like I was talking about maybe like last week or the week before, something about the things that we used to do that are not that good for us, or the things that are no longer serving us, like those things are going to be more unforgivable, less forgivable. And I don't know, what do I mean by that? Like smoking or doing things that you know that you shouldn't, or whatever it is. And then the things that you do want to bring in are going to be able to come in more easily. There's also something around ensuring that we do regular clearings. It's not, I'm pretty sure that people know this, but you don't clear your chakras once and then be done with it. It's an ongoing maintenance process. And I was using my pendulum yesterday to go through my chakras and figure out if I had blockages in any of them and kind of feel into those energy centers. And if you're not familiar, the pendulum will respond by either going counterclockwise or clockwise. And it spun with a lot of like resonance, and it was clear on every place but my heart chakra. There's a huge heart chakra opening. It has to do with earth. It has to do with remaining open and being able to ground the new energy and our body's energies into the earth. What do I mean by that? I mean, really consciously anchoring the things that you're feeling and processing on a daily basis into the earth with your consciousness, and visualizing that groundedness. And also just going outside to let earth do that to you. It doesn't have to be this experiment where you're like, am I doing it right? It's just about being outside, being in the presence of the sun's rays is medicinal right now. I'm going to get a Starseed Oracle card. Let's do current energy, energy to release, energy to embrace. Again, this is a pre-full moon reading. Current energy's right here. The Lovers. Well, that makes a lot of sense. We just entered Gemini season. The Lovers is the card of Gemini. But it's obviously a loving, connected partnership card. Energy to embrace is the Chariot. Cancer. Card of Cancerian energy. Things just like picking up speed and materializing. Like I said, I think that this is beautiful things materializing quickly in a balanced way that serves you. Energy to release is the Four of Pentacles. This is, in my opinion, it's scarcity, covetousness, and lack mindset around stability, of like needing to have one foot on each pentacle, because if she doesn't, they will slide away, and clinging tightly to the things that we have, but it's doing so in a self-limiting manner. Let me shuffle out a clarifier for each position briefly. What's clarifying the Lovers in the current energy? Thanks for bearing with me, by the way, if you do watch these videos and watch the channel. I'm just going through a major restructuring, and I will be back up here eventually recording videos like I used to. But they're going to be a little different. I've got like themes to the content I want to make. I'm changing all these things, and haven't been able to post. The Star is clarifying the Lovers. That's right. It's major wish fulfillment. That's super, super beautiful. This is Aquarius energy. What's clarifying the Chariot and the energy to embrace position? The Page of Pentacles and the Six of Wands. You see? It's this beautiful, considering it's this fresh start that we've gone into a beginner's mind to be able to initiate first from a spiritual sense of connecting to a new way of being and bringing it, anchoring it, visualizing it into practical steps, really, but also just being delivered unto us. Sounds very religious. Being delivered unto us, like putting forth the mental, spiritual rockets of desire and intention, and just sort of letting your life open little trap doors through the way that you're moving through space and time. That's been happening to us for a little while, I believe, if you're listening to this reading, and it's been guiding you, leading you to the things that you are able to create for wish fulfillment in a balanced way, partnered or solo, in whichever way serves your highest good right now. But in the physical world, Page of Pentacles. And it's a successful energy to embrace. Fast forward motion with the Chariot towards material success, right? Moving away from that. Four of Pentacles energy. What's a clarifier for the Four of Pentacles and the energy to release position? This one. The Sun. Because we're feeding off, the sun hasn't come out, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I think I already said that. I'm not really a morning girl. I'm actually the opposite, complete opposite. But having to wake up every single day to give my dog his diabetes injection, I have done very, very well since he went into the hospital with that. I've only missed one day, and it was this past Saturday, and I haven't slept in like a month. And I've kind of forgot that I was ever going to be able to sleep in again. Like, I didn't understand at the time, because life has been moving so quickly, that I was going to have to be getting up at 7:30 every day for the rest of my damn life. And I don't really love that hour of the day. 7:30 sucks. 8:15 or later. I don't like getting up early, so I don't know why I'm up right now. I had to attend to the needs of the dog, as I usually do. But well, I actually... All right, no, we're going to stay on message today. But I feel like this it has to do with the timelessness that's setting in, the creative potential, and how we can manifest. I'm talking to a lot of people who are spiritual, a lot of people who are not so spiritual, and I cannot emphasize how badly I wish, in a mature way. There's a very childlike version of myself that wants to like tug on the hemlines of every, like, just like implore, like I need to calm down. I need to calm down, because everybody's exactly where they're meant to be. But a lot of people are not holding on to or accessing optimism right now, not understanding the creative shift and the potential of what is crumbling and what that means for creating new ways of being, and how open it is. How open it is for that, if that makes sense. It's like, it's not anybody's business to convince anybody into anything, but it's okay, because there's going to be different levels of truth being revealed. I sincerely believe that June is going to be wild, and the rest of 2024 will be. And if you've been with me, I mean, since the beginning of the year, there's been a lot of groundwork. I've been talking about this. It's like this year and this energy and these influxes and the way that the sun is behaving in a way that we know hasn't happened in our lifetime before. We're creating this interdimensional channel where the people who are accessing this higher energy are able to, I'm seeing the cotton candy machine, whip it into new structures for people who want to exist in this way, to inhabit consciously. And that is replacing this. So the 3D physical world has relied on lack and scarcity and debt-to-debt systems and corruption and not enoughness, and in general, always having something to fear, always having something coming down the pike as far as these stories that have these interrelated strands in their braids around global activity and the threats that are driven by that angle. It's a fear-based angle as far as how people are told and spoken to of what's happening on Earth. And the sun is clarifying the Four of Pentacles in the release position. So, I mean, what I feel, I have a sun card tapestry in my window as well. It's really an illumination on all of the shadowy things, right? When the sun comes up, whatever took place at night in the light of the moon, using only your intuition to make it through the territory where there's no light, where you cannot see. The sun comes up, and light and the sun and darkness cannot exist in the same place. They just can't. As soon as you shine a light into a corner, the darkness can't exist there. And I think that a lot of people are expecting some, never mind, I don't want to speak to that. I think that there's going to be something so beautifully gradual about the shift into a way of really connecting with a new way of taking up space on Earth, right? This, that, nothing is limited. In fact, there's unlimited abundance, resources, you know, wellsprings of healing energy to just magically eradicate long-standing conditions within the physical vessels of different beings on Earth. Like, the only reason why we have been made to feel like there are finite resources is because we are drawing in so much energy, and then our system in a closed loop is feeding the power-hungry few that benefit from it, who have been oppressing the masses for thousands of years. It's so baked into our intergenerational collective memory that people do not know how to reckon with what it is that we're breaking out of. It's why people are saying that this is a bogus philosophy on anything right now, is because it's not just, you know, it's like, for as long as we can, for a lot of people, there's a lot of memories incarnationally, whether you're conscious of them or not, of struggling here on Earth and being oppressed in a similar system, regardless of when it might have taken place in history, that oppresses us now. It's reached a grotesque breaking point. And we're not needing to like burn anything to the ground, right? Because it's this thing of holding space for the light. It's like, who gave you permission to do that? You know, like nobody needs permission. You just have to be able to stand in the place that they have intentionally tried to set up booby traps all over. Like, do not believe this. These people are crazy. Don't do blah, 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 blah. You know, all of the misinformation, all of the shit that makes things like, you know, conflates different words and turns people off to stuff. Anything done with fear or to incite fear is just lower vibrational at this point. If you're able to talk about things and acknowledge things, but hold the light, hold a sense of optimism and happiness, that it illuminates the space of darkness. And it is always domineering, right? The darkness can't be like, no, son, I'm going to keep darkening, right? What does that even mean? I'm going to dark back at you. It can't do anything. It has no projection, right? Darkness, it's this reclusive, it goes into the shadows. It goes where there isn't light. So if you bring light in, it will flee. It's actually repelled, right? It can't coexist. Bottom of the deck to clarify what I'm talking about. It's the Empress. It's time to move away from thinking that you have to play by somebody else's rules. This is a deep, I heard fear is the mind killer. That's graffitied on a overpass quite near where I live. I'm always just like, cool. And I'm getting number 3 with this. You might be seeing a lot of 3s recently. Holy number of creation. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. I can't remember the rest of Psalm 23, but I got that as well. I guess that was the only part that was needed to be shared here today. It's a creative, abundant energy of bringing forth everything that you know that you would like to create by very fact, by causal relationship, that you can desire it. And I think a lot of people will come to realize right now that they first and foremost do have a vision that starts with them, but in some ways, maybe they've never even realized how it could or does inextricably link into serving a greater collective. A lot of people are going to have to, there's something, it's like the deeply sensitive and spiritual among us have actually been thinking that they've been really egotistical, and they haven't. It's okay to want things for yourself. There are certain people out there who might hear this one day or now or at any point in time, where it's like you have something that you want and you haven't let yourself want it because you think that yourself wanting it is selfish, when really it's not, because you're going to be such an asset to so many people, and you're allowed to ascend into a very powerful, balanced, assistive, creative, happy version of yourself. Why wouldn't you be? And it's like this setting the self free of feeling like that's not humble or the right path. Clarify that by cutting the deck. 10 of Cups. There's also no, this is a ridiculous reading. I'm glad I decided to sit down and do this. It's not 10 minutes long, but like think about these cards coming out, right? There's like so many major arcanas and then these good cards. 10 of Cups, that's right. We're not going to limit any of the potential to have complete and full happiness anymore. Now I'm going to do a Starseed Oracle, and then I'm going to go, because I'll boost myself into these crazy states of wanting to channel all day and process this. And what I really need to do... Oh, I don't think I finished the thing about the heart chakra. But that's okay. It's important right now to check in almost multiple times a day, every day for sure, but maybe multiple times a day with your chakras, just bringing attention to them, doing, it can be like a 30-second clearing, but just trying to run light through, starting at the root base of the spine, moving that energy all the way up, or reverse, bringing it down through the crown, hitting the third eye, the throat, having these, the visualization change color, maybe like change as it moves through you in quality. And keeping yourself anchored in that way for the purpose of continuing to move forward. It's very interesting. It's very subtle right now. It's almost like highest timeline. Everything is so quantum, moving so quickly. We're moving through warp speed. Like if I falter even just a little bit, I can feel, I can see, I can sense how I'm tracking and how it's less than being my full embodied self, like a flashlight bulb projecting out, and I haven't either, eaten enough, rested enough, stretched enough, or loved on myself enough to be able to still be tracking in that upwards direction, and I can see it shifting down, and I know what I need to do to bring it back up. And so there's a different kind of feedback loop that's helping us right now. So the Starseed Oracle, and I'll get one from the bottom too, and then I'll put these cards away because I'll just go and go and go and go if I don't. Baby steps. Action. Follow your intuition before it makes sense. Look at that, like standing in this beautiful cosmic archway, which, I mean, an archway for me is like a gateway, right? I talked about that quantum BQHHT session, being on a beach, having an interdimensional portal that I found in my remote viewing space, that looks like this. It was an archway. I moved through it and I was able to go to a different place on the earth. Baby steps, though. I mean, the image is very evocative of what I was talking about with, like, not even understanding, like, once you cross through this threshold. By the way, a lot of people who have not been awake to what it is I'm talking about in any capacity will be starting to move through this threshold, because the collective is being, it's like a cat. I saw a cat dragging something with it. I don't know. It's like a cartoon vision, but this stubborn reluctance is still going to come along in tow, if you will, and that is the masses, because we're one collective, right? Earth wants this, the universe wants this, the solar system, quote unquote, wants this. It's really not about want. It's about the expansion of energy and what is predestined to occur at this time. Whether or not people understand it or remember it, more and more people will be understanding and remembering it. But this threshold is like, oh, and what I was going to say, I'm sorry, I'm so jumbled this morning, but I was going to say that it's like opening yourself, moving away from lack and scarcity and fear. It's just as simple, if you're worrying about things, it's just as simple as going like, nope, delete, bye. And then you just start in a new direction. It's okay to have worries and fears, that's valid, everybody does, but are you going to let them define, like, you can always overturn somehow the way that you're moving towards what it is you're gonna do next, with or without those fears, right? There's a choice, there's it's a major shift in how we perceive sanity, right? And like life, being able to take up space in a way that doesn't continue to anchor in fear vibration. This lack mentality, come on, like the Sun, the Empress, and the Ten of Cups is what is replacing this. Release this. This is in the release position, the embrace position, victory, success. Starting again, having success with that, and being freed to be in this like youthful mindset that considers things and contemplates things. It's such a restorative, like, apprentice, like, but golden, honored. You're in the right place, right? To move forward and have success with what you're doing. I said this in a reading from last week, but maybe I never posted it. Regardless of what it is, a lot of people are not comfortable being new or novice at something. You can be a really, really, really excellent astrophysicist, but if you try to start doing oil painting, you might not be as gifted as you were at the thing that you're naturally, there's always going to be some type of way in life to develop mastery. That's how we expand ourselves. We stop getting curious, we stop learning, we stop feeling like as a human, you have to specialize in one thing, it has to make you money, and then it's over. This is more along the lines of ikigai, which is the Japanese concept of braiding together what it is that you love, what you can make money off of, because we do live in a value-based exchange system, but really that's just energy exchange. I offer something to the world and I get something for it because there's value that it brings. So it's not like, what's going to make me money? It's like, what can I do that brings value to others? That's the shift. That's what gets you out of this. Because when you know, and you're in this energy, you don't want for anything. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He restores my soul, he guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, I shall fear no evil. It's not being limited to these structures. You don't have to be in a covetous energy when you can bring anything that you need and want through to you at any time and spin it into something. Like imagining too, I'm getting like a reference from The Good Place, that TV show, where they end up in like eternity, right? Eternal heaven somehow, but there's like this boredom, and all the people in heaven have been like, yeah, we're just kind of like apathetic about it now. We just like drink milkshakes and hang out and it's whatever. Because too much of a good thing, right? Why and how can you exist in a space what's the purpose, right? What's the purpose of existing in a space that doesn't have this duality? It's creation and expansion. And we don't understand how it could be because it hasn't happened yet. What's beautiful is that tons and tons of people are already creating it and have ideas for that. And that's what's on the other side of this. You see? There's also, I'm getting like an allusion to it. It kind of looks like a sun hat, but like a starship up here. Again, with like imagery around stargates and portals and bringing things in. I love this reading. Okay, and then we've got, you got the love, Hadarian energy, codependency, and boundaries. I'm going to read from this one and then I'm going to go because this seems like a message that we need today. Where does Y come? Right before Z, I thought. Yeah. The Hadarians are believed to be beacons of pure, divine, unconditional love who see love in all people and situations. As a result, they can find it hard to have boundaried, interdependent, healthy relationships because they only see the unconditional nature of those they meet. The lovers of the cosmos, they dive in fast. They're here to learn how to love while in a separate body. To learn to love the self first and then establish healthy relationships with others. To remember that the love they seek is already within them. That they truly do have the love all on their own. The message of this card is to review the ways that you may need to establish healthier boundaries. Perhaps you're in a codependent relationship in which you may be losing your sense of self. It's common for starseeds to dive deep into relationships, particularly with those who feel safe and familiar at a soul level. Perhaps you're in a relationship in which you give more than you receive, or perhaps there's a certain volatility to it and you're always unsure where you stand. This card is assigned to do a relationship review and see what energetic agreements you've made consciously or unconsciously. To acknowledge if there are relationships in which you feel anxious or powerless, in which you don't feel like it's safe to relax and just be you. To assess if there are any places of inadequacy that you've used a relationship to soothe and cover up. Yeah. Okay, so I think regardless of whether or not people are safe or healthy people right now for us in our lives, like energetically, people that we feel good with, regardless of that, there's this really private thing that happens. I was talking about this weeks ago as far as like, we're all in this together, but we're all on our own little islands. There's something very distinct about the internal clocks and mechanisms of every individual and how this new energy is mobilizing them, because we all have different past life, Akashic records, and we all have different traumas, and we all have different things we all have different relationships to collective traumas, right? For example, being in a female body, I feel into the female collective trauma, and like, oh my God, I watched the Wicked trailer. Oh my God, if you haven't watched the Wicked trailer, watch the Wicked trailer. Watch it first, just listen to the words. If I were to read you a transcript of them, it's like crazy. And then the burning of the witch, and like just the themes in the Wicked trailer. I mean, on the one hand, I'm like, I can't wait to see it. On the other hand, I'm like, this is incredibly sick and insensitive. Like all the themes and the overlaps, like, Dorothy and Kansas and the Wizard of Oz, being swept up in tornadoes while tornadoes just literally sweep through right now and cause damage. It's just incredibly insensitive. But I really need to stop illuminating things about, I will be doing what I've always said I will do on my website, which is create sort of this massive breakdown map of how we can detangle and understand the corruption, for lack of a better way of putting it right now. But as far as on YouTube, it doesn't really matter. Like, I've got so many screenshots and I track different things that are happening, but it does not matter. I don't want that to be my YouTube channel. I just want to start to like ignore it. It's always going to be doing something absurd, and we can always detangle it and identify it, but that's still, it's time to let it all sink and not care. My friend helped me dye my hair, and we both laughed because it looks ridiculous. I need to tone the roots a little bit. It's not so bad. Whatever, it's just hair. And I'm like, I was like flipping my head up and down to try to dry it. And I was like, I feel like one of those, that dude from Dragon Ball Z with like the, but also one of Doja Cat's backup dancers from Coachella. And my friend was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I showed her the clip of that dance, and it's to the song Demons from her album Demons. It's the song Demons from her album Demons. And really weird performance that she did at Coachella. And a lot of people, you know, on the internet, you got different camps at this point. You've got people like, how do we call this art? This is sick. This is demonic. You know, blah, blah, blah. And then you got people who are like, she ate that up. Like, she killed it. And then you got people like me who are looking at the costumes, looking at her eyeballs, seeing that it's just a bunch of people in these hair suits, knowing that hair is conductive to electricity. In spiritual communities, it was a sign and a sense of power and experience. And again, conductive to energy and electricity. And they're all parading around in this, like, it can help you ground into the earth more. Having longer hair. Okay. All right. I hope that was helpful today. I'm going to cut the deck to get hidden energy, and then I'm going to take the card underneath it for our advice. The hidden energy is the Three of Wands. All right, this takes me back to baby steps with this card here. Similar, okay? This is the same type of energy here. It's okay to go forward. Using intuition before it makes sense. I would kind of caution people into saying, if you're waiting for something to make more sense so that you can do something, to be like super vague, don't. It's one of those Patronus moments where you have to move into the void and make something happen. That is what you've been waiting for. You are the thing that's going to change. And so you'll start to feel overwhelmed, or like you're quote unquote getting left behind if you don't start to make those moves right now. And that's not supposed to be like me telling you that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and you should be doing something. The energy underneath the hidden energy was the Hierophant, right? There's something, well, what I'm hearing is like, there are instructions, right? The Hierophant is like, would sign off like a, what's it called? Notary. And rulings and like, while everything is shifting and we can just kind of create and collapse what it is that we want, there's this like extreme amount that's of discipline that's not going to call to everybody. It calls to me. It's an extreme amount of discipline that my guide's spirit is asking us to take in order to continue being people who are creating what it is that the rest of the world can move into with these shifts and these changes. So it's just planning, taking things seriously, but knowing that as you move forward, using the intuition, not having all the answers, that in itself is what starts to show you the changes in forming future decisions. And it also keeps the momentum going. It's not a time to start to or pull back, to reassess. And I know it's counterintuitive because that's what this person is doing. He's having a strategic moment of contemplation around his journey and his path that he will tread. But on the other hand, this image, while similar, looking out over an expanse and planning, this person's almost like at a lilt, at a tilt. I mean, they're high up, right? That's kind of a crazy place to be. I'd love to know what it's like to be there. It feels energetically like we are there, but when you're in a position like that, you feel small. Or even the Three of Wands, he's looking out, and this card, you know, he fills the frame. He's not small, he's big. Feet are on the ground, he can go wherever he wants. And I kind of like the hand over here, but his head's looking that way. There's like a breadth thing going on, a scope of breadth that's all encompassing, right? He can look, scan the whole territory, decide where he wants to go. This is different in that the character's looking at they don't know where they're going to go. If you step through, the quality of light and energy on either side of the archway is different. And there's so much potential right now to take that seriously and really lean into the cosmic education that's available to us to be able to reality shift at rapid levels, and it's happening. It's happening whether or not people want it to. It's going to start to show in the physical 3D world, as far as like, oh my God, before we know it, it's just going to be like, this is no longer part of the way that humans do things. Bye. And if you're not at the leading edge of that, it's going to happen, and then people are going to be like in a Roadrunner goes by, and you're like, what did we do? Type thing. So, happy Gemini season. This is a big week. The end of May is big, and June is big. And there's no better time to just hold optimism and light within your heart. Like I said before, continue to check in with your chakras. I don't think I finished this, but I said I went through all of mine yesterday, and the only place where I had a blockage was in the heart, which is very surprising to me. Excuse me, but it makes sense, especially because of the Hadarian energy card. Excuse me. I've been holding so much light, and if I go out in public, if I do things, I feel like people are like crawling closer to me everywhere, and it's overwhelming. I get people that just want to kind of come into my space and take my energy, and that's not what they think they're doing. For them, they have something popping in their mind, and they want to come tell me or ask me, right? It's not a conscious process, but in my position, in my shoes, I feel like I'm going from place to place, and wherever I go, there are people who are taking my energy, and it's not a good feeling, and I've worked very hard to be able to put up energetic boundaries so that doesn't completely deplete me, but I know that people relate to that. That might be happening to you, and it's sort of like the life raft thing, and these people might be older than you, younger than you, they, well-intentioned, ill-intentioned, it doesn't matter. There's a subconscious interaction of particles milling about right now. Particles milling about, that's all we are. And there's default scripting, right, that mobilizes, default programs that mobilize those particles. And if you have detached from those default scripts of code that inform your motion on Earth, and you are standing in your sovereign power, and you're not mobilized by those same trodden paths anymore, then you stand out. It's different. It's a different way of being. And it is really important to put energetic boundaries up. What's Page of Swords? Page of Swords. Yeah, don't be afraid to reestablish who you are to the people that already know you, and set different kinds of experiments up with yourself to like, I don't know why I said the word experiment. Let me receive this download before I keep talking. Okay, it's about being truthful in the moment in a way that, like, I think that maybe sometimes if somebody's trying to communicate to somebody else what it is they want, what it is they need, how they really feel, first they have their truth on their inside, and then they try to distill what it is going on with them, to be able to present it to the person that they're talking to. Like, well, this is what I'm going, so maybe I'll say this. There's that buffer. This is what's going on with me, and this is how I'm going to say it to this person. There's something that we're starting to realize about, like, I don't have to do that. I don't have to put so many layers of veneer in between. All of them are peeling off. It's harder and harder to interact with people at an energetic... scratch that. Everybody's truth is leaking out of them. For energy readers, it always has, right? And then there are people who are very privy to the energy of others, but maybe they didn't prior to the past 18 months consider themselves, like, now you're realizing, if you didn't before, that you are an energy reader. You do pick up on the subtleties. You just never called it that before. Or maybe you're not there yet, or maybe you've been there for a long time, but like as soon as we move into that space, then the way that we filter through that information will change drastically, and we can do it to use it to help us and be a little bit more forgiving and compassionate with the people that enter our space as a result of us morphing into a new way of being, right? And just being able, that's the purpose of it. It's overwhelming for a lot of people, but you wouldn't be in that position if you didn't, prior to incarnating, agree to be that person. We've talked about this before on my channel, but like a lot of people who have very high vibrational capacities to anchor in light frequency on Earth will be isolated from other people that have that capacity and power in the same way, because it's like putting up, it's like a bunch of stakes in the earth for a tent. Why would you have two really close together? That doesn't support a different part of the tent. That's not structurally sound. And so there's a blanket of that energy, of that light wrapping around the entire earth. And if you are a person that is holding up a stake in that, then you can self-validate, right? You don't have to look around for other people that are going to be able to do that with you, because you're actually doing it for imagine holding up that tent for everybody around you. And understanding that when you set up your energetic boundaries, you don't have to be like, I'm holding up the tent stake, dog, like give me 10, like just you know, it's like diffusing all of that. The reason why I think I detected a block in my heart chakra yesterday is because I'm a pretty impatient person. Like I can be very patient, my guide said, don't say that, Mariah, you're not an impatient person. You're a very patient person. This is true, I am. But I maintain that I don't know how I'm a patient person. I'm actually not that patient on the inside, but I've been demanded to be you just have to be. Patience is demanded out of us. Patience is a virtue, and patience is a sign of wisdom. So it's just one of those split mind things where I have it in me and I recognize the patience, the deep well of strength. Patience can be infinitely called upon. It's just not fun for the ego and the human mind. And I've been going through, as we all have, very rapid shifts since the eclipse, but then I saw a piece of paper go boop, boop. It's almost like it's folding up, and it's like vacuum sealing, but like compressing into origami. The way that the shifts are happening are compounding. So from the eclipse until the most recent new moon, back whenever that happened, on like the 7th of May, I believe, in Taurus, one phase, and then that new moon sort of doubled down on it, folded up these changes. It's hard to keep up, right? I've had different experiences happening with me, and then the way that I feel when I'm out and about interacting with people is different. The way that I feel like I'm being received by people is different and changing. That might be the case for you as well. And because of that, I feel a little bit on edge. I've been really drawn to my solace and my hermit mode to be able to integrate. I can't get enough rest and alone time right now, because if I'm alone and resting, then I don't, uninterrupted flow. A lot of us don't give ourselves enough time to experience our own energy in completely uninterrupted flow. That's even away from your family. People are like, well, they're my people. They're not inside your own body. It's lovely that you've all come together. I'm so glad that you all love each other. But your energies, strong and independent on their own, will form a network, to function together when you strengthen those individual energies. And a lot of people are calling happy households, well, I think a lot of people are disguising. A lot of people do not truly realize how codependent they are, and they lack autonomy. A lot of us carry unacknowledged trauma where we just simply don't want to be alone, or we don't know how to. We don't even know how to. I've known so many people throughout time who do not like to spend time alone. They always have friendships, regardless of how toxic or like frivolous or like waste of timey. I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but it's just because they don't want to be alone. And then they end up being with somebody in a romantic long-term relationship, even if there's not true love there. But being alone for whatever reason feels like a bigger detriment than, like, people don't even know that they're not in real love. People don't know that. And that's not anybody's place to, that's just what it is. It's just, I think, people realizing what could be possible. Again, it's like athletic records. It's like athletic records. Nobody knows that something's possible until somebody else does it. And then when somebody else does it, there's something to look at, to aspire to. And that's going to be helping that. Connecting to the heart. Let me shuffle out a card real quick before I keep going. And I really will go. Of course, I said it was going to be 10 minutes, 40. Yeah. It's the world. Okay, so, and I'm getting another like 3 synchronicity with number 21 with the world. 21 reduces down to 3. It's the 22nd today. I will be 30 years old in 1 month, exactly. That's fun. Ending. Okay. There's several messages here, but I don't want to do this. I need to go. I want to meditate personally so I can come back down to earth a little bit and ground before I start my day. But it's the ending of... Okay, so it's almost like we've been living in a way on earth where it's like if people don't... When somebody else doesn't really jive with our reality or how we live our lives, they just kind of don't exist. We don't attempt to understand them or anything like that. And not only now are we going to be incapable of ignoring a true understanding of ourselves, which will be very jarring for a lot of people. Like what I was talking about, if people have been in an incredibly bypassy mentality and they think they're very happy, but actually all they've done is become masterful at suppressing a bunch of shit that dictates their behavior that's unacknowledged, that's going to start to kind of percolate and bubble up. You've got 2 camps right now. You've got people who have been really deeply dissevered and detached from their truth for a very long time, who are suffering or will start to upon realizing the dissonance there. It doesn't mean that they're any less like capable, right, of kind of merging with that higher mind. I think that a lot of people, really what this is that the people who remain on Earth over the next few decades, that they will. That's how humanity's evolving. But in the shorter term, it's basically like before, where you could sort of omit other people's realities if they didn't jive with yours. That's not going to be the case anymore. There's the end of that. We're all sort of in this soup, this energetic soup together, and the sun is coming up, and everything is being revealed and illuminated in a new way. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go, and thank you for watching. If you did watch, I'm going to pull a rune, and I'll put the meaning for this rune in the description box below. Okay. This is the rune of the day. I'll put the meaning of it in the description box. Have a great day.